Okay, to begin this lesson on difference of squares, the first thing I want you to do is square each of the numbers in the chart. So we have 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared, 6 squared, 7 squared, 8 squared, 9 squared, 10 squared, 11 squared, and 12 squared. This video is going to go kind of fast, so just stop it if you need to, or you can always rewind it. All right, looking at the first example here, when we're doing difference of squares, that means we have a difference, which means a subtraction sign, of two things being squared. By the way, because there are two terms, this is called a binomial. So you're going to, first of all, the square root of 49 would be 7, and then the square root of e to the fourth would be e squared. The square root of 100 is 10. So the way you set this up in your two parentheses is you're going to have 7e plus 10 times 7e minus 10. Both parentheses are going to look the same except for one will have a plus and one will have a minus. Okay, you could also have a GCF. Notice that both terms have a c in common. So we can factor out a c first. We are left with e squared minus 36. Then notice what's in the parentheses here is a difference of squares. We have a subtraction and then we have two things that are being squared. So we leave the c out front, and then the square root of e squared would be e. The square root of 36 is 6. So we have e plus 6 times e minus 6. Okay, moving on. G squared minus 16. Set this up. It is a difference of squares. We have a difference, and we have two things that are being squared here. One parenthesis gets a plus, one gets a minus. G squared would, the square root of that would be g, and then square root of 16 is 4. So g plus 4 and g minus 4. In the next one, we have two perfect squares with a subtraction sign in the middle. So we go ahead and set up our two parentheses, one with a plus, one with a minus. 64c squared would square root to be 8c in both parentheses, and the square root of 25 is 5. Okay, looking at the next one, first thing you are going to want to notice is we do have a difference here, but these are not perfect squares. But if you noticed, you can take a GCF out first, and you should always try that first anyways. So if you take out a 2, factor out a 2, you are left with 9g squared minus 4. Once you do that, notice now you have two perfect squares. So you have your 2 out front, and then you set up your parentheses, one with a plus, one with a minus. 9g squared would be 3g, and square root of 4 would be 2. Okay, going on to the bottom here. You might want to pause it, try it, and then start it back up. Okay, hopefully you did that. Now we have k plus 3 and k minus 3. If you did this one correctly, you got d plus 8c times d minus 8c. This one here, you need to factor out your r cubed first. So you have r cubed, parentheses 25n to the fourth minus 4. Notice then that you have a difference of squares there, so that can factor down into r cubed times 5n squared plus 2 times 5n squared minus 2. Okay, now go ahead and do these problems on the back of your sheet, and then so pause it and then start it back up. Okay, so actually no, I have a class in here, by the way, so y'all can now participate. All right, so on number 1, who can tell me which one of these is the factored form of the binomial that you have listed there? Yes, all the way in the back. C. C would be correct. Yes, 10n minus 3 times 10n plus 3. Good. Okay, number 2. This one was kind of tricky because you have to pay attention to the word not. Which of them is not a factor? In order to do that, don't give me the answer yet, but Kiana, in order to do that, what did you need to do first?
I had to factor out c cubed, and then I had to...
So you had a factor, is my point, yes. Right? You had to factor it all the way down first.
Yes.
Okay, so Kiana says we're going to factor out c cubed first. So that would be correct. If we factor out a c cubed, we would be left with 49 e squared minus 64c squared. Okay? Then from there, Kiana, what did you get?
I got c cubed times, well, parentheses, 7e minus 8c times 7e plus 8c.
Very good. Okay, and so then if you look, A is a factor, isn't it? B is a factor. C is a factor. Which one is not a factor? D. We're good?
Yes.
Okay. All right, the last one, what is the GCF of the following binomial? What did you guys get, Hannah? A, yes. 1 is the only common factor there, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Boy, that was a quick video. Okay, this is 7-4. Difference of squares.